Welcome. I want to be able to welcome you today to the Anteater Welcome Reception. Thank you so much. We're so glad you're here, and you may be wondering why the Alumni Association person. My name is Wendy Day Brown, Associate Director of Alumni Relations here at the Alumni Association. You're probably wondering why is an alumni person representing today and welcoming you? And it is because we are so proud to welcome you into the Anteater family. We have this ethos here that once you become an Anteater, you are an Anteater for life. So I'm here to welcome you as an alumni representative. We are also here to support you along your journey as an Anteater. And I want to congratulate you and your parents to coming and getting into UCI. It is not an easy feat, as you know, so congratulations. I'm so proud of you. It is a wonderful opportunity that you're going to be joining us. So thank you so much for being here. And we have a lot to share with you today. And we are going to give you a few tips for an easy event today. One, I'd like to open up and talk about Spanish translations. If you are part of our community here that would like to have some Spanish translation, we want to say thank you to Yadira Hernandez, the Assistant Director of the UCI Dream Center. She's going to do interpretations for us. So go down to the bottom of your screen and you'll see a little icon on the very right-hand side, and that has an interpretation button. And please select English or Spanish, whichever one you're interested in. Make sure you select that button to make a great event for you today. We're also excited to offer the opportunity for a welcome reception registrants this year to win a special branded bag here. It's a backpack cooler, so 100 winners will be selected to win one of these. So thank you for registering, and we'll let you know. You'll be notified by email of what your prize or when you'll get your prize. So thank you so much for being here. And then I'm really excited to let you know about the Anteater Network. It's a wonderful platform. We actually started it here at the Alumni Association just a couple years ago. And it's a great community environment to help people from different parts of UCI join one another. So students, this is for you. Please, please log in. We need you on there. We want to help you to make connections. Alumni are so excited to join with you. So you'll have a little membership profile that you'll be able to build. It's open to all students, alumni, and yes, even parents and guardians. We have now made this available to you. And it's an opportunity for students, for you to be thinking about who you might want to connect with professionals. Students, people love talking about themselves, and alumni love talking with Anteaters. So this is your way to connect with them. And parents and guardians, this is a way for you to upload jobs, internships that you may be aware of. So you can, this is a way for people to connect with one another also on a peer-to-peer basis. So please join antnet.uci today. Thank you so much. And I just want to continue on to talk about some great pride points at UCI. You have joined an impressive university here. The first point I want to point out is, yes, we are the number 8. Can you think about that again? Number 8. Did you know there's over 5,000 universities, accredited universities in the United States, and we are number 8 public university. This is done by the US News and World Report. They use amazing amount of data, algorithms to figure out, they throw it into a computer and it does an assessment and a ranking. And it's very exciting to see that we're at number 8. We've been at top 10 for quite a few years. So you've joined some great company here at UCI. The next one I want to talk about is the top in the middle there. UCI is #1 best college in the US, again, remember how many universities I mentioned before, in the US by Money Magazine. So some of those algorithms that they use are what is the job placement rate of graduates? What is the retention rate of the university, of the students who actually go to graduate? How many are first generation students? Where do they come? Maybe they have, they're coming in from a low income situation. So this is amazing that we have been ranked among all the universities as #1. The next one I just want to point out is the one right next to it, is we are the #1 university doing most for the American dream. That was by the New York Times. Why is the New York Times picking a university out on the West Coast to say that we're doing the most for the American dream? Again, they did a lot of research and found that it is the social mobility that the education at UCI given to you and our students increases tenfold. So it's an amazing statistic that 40% of our UC across, brothers and sisters, are first generation students here at UCI. It's higher at 50%. So we are thankful for these ratings that tell us, and rankings, that we are doing a good job and you've joined an amazing university. So thank you so much. And next slide. All right, thank you. And we'll introduce the next people. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is our last Anteater welcome reception of the summer, and we're so glad you got to join us. And we will make this recording available to you. We'll be sending out a very detailed thank you email next week, and we'll include a link to this video too, because we will be sharing a lot of important information, and it's definitely a lot to absorb in just one sitting. So thank you for joining us. As you can see, this is our wonderful parent and family engagement team. We are led by Christina Johnson. I'm the assistant director, and then my colleague Kevin Crabb is a development officer who will also be joining us today. So you'll hear a little bit from him. And we have a wonderful event for you today. We have some amazing panelists, and I'm just so excited for you to hear from them. They all have different experiences within UCI, and they can share their viewpoint from a different lens. So it's really an eye-opening event. So we have Sherwin Umali from Student Life and Leadership. She's the Associate Dean of Students in Student Affairs. She is an alum. Brian Ju also works at UCI still, and he is an alum. So you can see that there's a pattern. People love UCI, and Brian will speak to this, but he has mentioned that he basically never left. He came here as a student, started working, and never left. So you're in great hands. You're joining one of the best universities in the nation, as Wendy mentioned. So we're just so proud that your student selected us. And we have Dr. Ashish Mehra, who is a 2-time Anteater parent and is a co-chair on our parent executive board with his wife. And we have Michelle Milari, who is a recent 2021 graduate from UCI. She's also the former ASUCI president, as well as many other things. She was very busy while she was at UCI. And recently when I spoke with her, she said she felt relaxed after graduating because she was so go, go, go. And but she was able to create quite the experience for herself. So we're excited to have you hear from her. And I wanted to quickly introduce our interpreter, who has so graciously offered her time to make this event available to our Spanish-speaking families. Yadira Hernandez. She's a native of Puebla, Mexico, and she immigrated here at the age of 15. Before UCI, she worked at UCLA, and she founded the first ever undocumented Alumni Association of UCLA. She's very humbled to be part of the UCI family now and support the undocumented student community and their families. And she's not stopping there. Next fall, she'll start her law school journey to transform the legal profession and advance justice for communities in need. And again, if you need translations, please click the interpretation button on the bottom of your Zoom control bar and select Spanish. And then we're trying to be safe, so select English if, just to keep it safe. And we receive a lot of questions just because of our name. I mean, parent and family engagement, it comes with the territory. And we just really want to be able to share some very important dates with you. And my colleague Kevin Crabb will speak to this in more detail, but here is a slide with all of our upcoming important dates for the fall quarter. It's tough because your student, I know this is such a transitional phase, so I'm sure before you were very in the loop, maybe even received your own personal emails with dates, deadlines, things like that. Now students are sort of in the driver's seat and they will be receiving all the information and will need to relay it to you. So it's definitely a learning period, and we're here to give you as much information as we can. We definitely don't have all the answers, but we're here to show you what we do know. So please take a screenshot of this. I'll also include our slide deck in our thank you email, so you can have this to peruse at your leisure. And our office really caters to parents and families, and we really want them to get involved and create their own journey at UCI. Although your student is, the Anteater per se, you're part of the Anteater family. And so we really want to offer opportunities for you to create your own journey and get involved if you're interested. So we do have a parent executive board, and Ashish Mehra will speak to this a little bit and explain his experience with the board. But essentially, they meet twice a year. It's a group of about 30 families who are interested in furthering UCI's mission. They support the Anteater Grant Initiative, which directly supports students' programs. It's really interesting. And I think last year alone, the board donated $57,000 to these projects. So it's exciting to see the impact that they're really making on campus for our students. We have a lot of events, such as this one. This is our first event of the summer that you're being introduced to. We do have coffee socials that will be taking place. We're still trying to determine, the public health guidelines, they're changing constantly. So we're still trying to determine if our coffee socials will be in person or if they'll be virtual, but these take place across the globe. And it's a really great way for parents and family members to meet others in their area. And we do have a large population of families in Northern California. And so we do have a lot of these events hosted in Northern California. And then we have Anteater Family Weekend taking place in the fall this year. Usually takes place during homecoming in the late winter, early spring. So we're excited to, get to see you sooner, basically. So we're looking forward to that. And we're currently planning for in-person for that weekend. And you can save the date. That will be December 10th and 11th, right after finals week. So it'll be a big celebration for everyone. And then we have a great group of volunteers, our Anteater parent ambassadors. They do a lot to really help students directly, as well as the parent community. And so these volunteers actually host the coffee socials. And so when they took place in person, it would be either at their homes or at a coffee shop. They really just try and keep parent populations in the loop with what's going on at UCI. And then we have our parent campaign for student success. And so this is another fund that directly supports student success, whether it's wellness, different tutoring initiatives, trips to further professional development. There's different outlets to support. And then here's just a brief outline of some of the events that I just mentioned. fall, winter, and spring. We do something every quarter, and so we would love for you to join us. And then we really want you to get and stay connected to our office throughout your students' time at UCI and even beyond. We do have a lot of past parents who like to come back to campus and help volunteer at events and different things like that, just to stay connected. And it helps too when their students are really connected to the Alumni Association. So it's sort of like a family event when they're all on campus together. So here's all of our contact information. Please take a screenshot. But we are very active on social media, and I'm constantly posting whether it's our events, other office news, all things UCI. So please follow us, and I hope you enjoy this event. My colleague Kevin Crabb will take it next.
Thank you, Lauren, and hello to all of our parents and families today. We're so excited to have you joining us. Lauren gave a great overview of our parents program, as well as information on some resources that you can definitely utilize, and I will talk a little bit more into that as well. As Lauren mentioned, my name is Kevin Crabb, and in my role at UCI, I support the engagement of parents and alumni, helping them become more involved through annual programs and supporting campus initiatives. And many of our parents and alumni enjoy doing so through a few different ways, such as mentorship opportunities, volunteerism, as Lauren mentioned, through our Anteater parent ambassadors, as well as supporting philanthropic priorities. And so I help our parents and alumni really navigate that journey to help them become more involved. And so again, I would like to thank you all for attending our Anteater welcome reception. The turnout has been incredible. We have about 500 families here today, which is just absolutely amazing. Thank you again. And we're really excited to share a ton of wonderful information with you as you begin your new journey with UCI, and we welcome you to our Anteater family. One thing I do want to share with you all, we want to be able to give you as much information as we possibly can from our parent programming. And over these past couple months and within these last few weeks, as we've been doing our Anteater welcome receptions, we have actually received thousands of questions from our incoming parents. And so we do our best to acknowledge all of these questions, but it really is hard to get to every single one. So what we've done is compile a list based on topics from these questions that were posed to us, and we created an email with a list of these resources. And so you will be getting this email shortly if you haven't already, from our parent and family engagement team that includes this list of topics. And so this list includes web links that you can visit to help answer questions and receive the appropriate information directly from the resources around campus. If you have registered for the event within the last 48 hours or so, you may not have received this resource email I am talking about, but please don't worry. It will be coming your way shortly, either in the upcoming days or early in the by next week. So please, thank you for your patience with that. And please remember to check your spam and junk mail folders as well, just in case it gets sent to that area. It's very important for our parents to also really have great communication with their students regarding their ZOP portal. The students will be receiving updates and important dates to know through this platform. I know during my time as a college student, I was not always the most forthcoming with information right away. So if you can do your best to just ask questions with your student about some upcoming dates, they will receive some important information through that platform in their ZOP portal. So please, just so you know, there will be information coming their way through there. Our parent team primarily focuses on engagement, volunteerism, and philanthropy. So while we love to provide assistance to our parents and help answer any of the questions that you may have, we really are only able to share the general information that we receive from the contacts around campus, from these same resources we provided you with. So in order to really help speed up the process in answering your questions, we recommend that you reach out directly to these contacts that are provided within the email and the links that were sent out. They will be able to share with you the same information that they would share with us, except by reaching out to these resources directly, this will cut out any possible delays of us reaching out and then following back up with our parents again to pass along this information. So we want to make sure whatever information you're looking for, questions that you may have, this information gets passed along to you in a speedy manner, and we can help answer your questions as quickly as possible. We really, truly appreciate your understanding for this. And lastly, as Lauren mentioned, our Parent Executive Board is a wonderful area for our parents to become more involved philanthropically and help support some great campus programs and initiatives through our Anteater Grant Initiative. And so due to some families graduating off the board this past June, we do have some vacancies that we are looking to fill. And we specifically love to continue to get some more international family representation on our board. So if you have any questions or would like some more information about that, I will share my email with you all in the chat, and you can please feel free to reach out to me and we can help facilitate that conversation as well. And with that being said, I would now like to introduce you to the panelist portion of our event. Each of our 4 panelists will speak about the area of their expertise and their own unique experience with the university. And I am very proud to introduce our first panelist, Sherwin Umali. Sherwin joined the Student Life and Leadership team as the Associate Dean of Students in July 2013. In this role, she is responsible for overseeing the Women's Center for Success, Latinx Resource Center, Student Outreach and Retention, or the SOAR Center, Fresh Basic Needs Hub, Dream Center, Sustainability Resource Center, and Parent Programs. Sherwin does it all. She chairs the All University Leadership Conference, a 38-year-old signature event for student leaders, and oversees the staff and technology needs for student life and leadership. Sherwin is obviously one of the best that can speak to you today. As you can hear, she does so much. And prior to her role, she served as the Director of Campus Organizations and Assistant Director in the Cross-Cultural Center. Sherwin is a proud alumna and received her BA in Psychology and Social Behavior and Studio Art. She went on to earn her Master's in Education, Leadership, and Policy Studies from the University of Maryland, College Park. And she is happy to balance her time with her 2 young children while managing freelance graphic design and photography and consulting work. What an amazing introduction, and I am proud to pass this along to Sherwin. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Kevin, and thank you all for being here. Thank you, Yadira, for our Spanish translation and the work that everyone puts together for you all, for our families, for our students. So just a quick introduction about myself. Like Kevin mentioned, I'm the Associate Dean of Students. And no, I was not that kid who was asked the question, what do you want to do when you grow up? And said, I want to be an Associate Dean of Students, right? I was not that kid. I did not know what this job entailed until I got here. And so how did I get here? I am a native of the Philippines. My parents immigrated my family and I here when I was 3 years old. And really it was for the ability to get an education, right? Education different from the one they received in the Philippines, and also an opportunity for us to build our lives in a different place. And so some of you might relate to that. And I grew up in San Diego, California, just down the street, right down the freeway. And really, I chose UCI as a place primarily, to be honest, because it was far enough away from my family, but close enough to get home whenever I needed to. And that ended up being the best decision that I had ever made since that time, right? I was 18 when I came to UCI, and I left for graduate school, and then I came back. But I was that student who didn't know what to do with my life. I hadn't chosen a career yet. I got very involved as a student in dance crews. I was a dancer for a little bit. I was a resident advisor. I did work on campus through internships, and I really found my place here. UCI showed me that my life is not my circumstance necessarily. My circumstance won't be what I was necessarily born into, but that I can do more because I had the opportunities in front of me. So that's why I love UCI. That's why I keep coming back. That's why I stayed. And so I hope for you all, for your families, for you as students, that you realize that your success is not an accident, right? You all worked so hard to get to this point, not only yourselves as students, as individuals, but with your family, with your community, to get here to this point, right? So I thank you so much for spending the time with us today and for the next few years of your life with us. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about what student affairs is all about. What does it mean to be involved on campus? And for me, the way I like to explain student affairs is that everything you do in the classroom, right, is to get you toward that degree that you're searching for, that you're hoping to attain, so that you can move into the career field that you're interested in. Well, student affairs, we have resources that will get you to your classes in a healthy and thoughtful way, right? We help build the leadership experiences, the skill sets for you to be able to use your degree and get that job, right? So we have our counseling centers, our resource and identity centers. We have housing and dining. Make sure you're fed, right? That we have a food pantry, our Fresh Basic Needs Hub, our Dream Center, and other identity centers that help students stay connected and find belonging on our campus. And I know, based on my own experience, and I'm sure you know based on yours, that we are not we are multi-intersectional people, right? I'm not just a woman, but I'm a Filipino woman. I'm an Asian American woman who also has the different goals than the person right next to me. So student affairs and the work that we do in student life and leadership, I hope enhances you in your ability to go to class in a healthy and safe way. So let's not pretend that this year was not hard, right? This year was hard. And I'm saying a year, but I know it was more than a year. Working from home, welcome to my bedroom, right? We are here in our own spaces. What we've learned is that we had to do this in order for us to be in a place of comfort and safety from this pandemic. But it was hard. It was hard because we were on our computers all day. It was hard because this is not the college experience we all expected to have, right? And for me, a working professional experience. But we have been working all year long and learning so much about how to come back and open up the campus in a way that we've never had before. And so we have tons of, supplies for us to make sure we're cleaning our spaces and sanitizing in the best way possible so we can open the doors in the safest way possible in fall quarter. Our housing units have worked really hard to ensure that we have a great system in place so that students can come back and live on campus. We've figured out too that some things work better on Zoom, some things work better online. And so I think for us to be able to have our events on campus, and we have a very exciting welcome week planned, right, where students will be back on campus, joining clubs and organizations of the 650 clubs that we have, being able to connect with one another and interface in person. That is the stuff that we missed, and that is the stuff we hope to be able to bring back. Not only that, but we recently announced that we're opening a new hospital very close to campus off of Jamboree Road. And for us, it means expanding our mental health services, expanding our physical health services. We're also opening a new building called the Student Success Building, where our wellness and health offices will move into, so that students can have access to the care that they need, right? And so I hope that you all, as you come back to campus, and like Brian mentioned in the Q&A, we're not having guided tours as of yet, but you are free to walk on campus. We are a public institution, and I hope you spend that time and get familiar with the place and space if you are close by and the campus is accessible to you in that way. And if not, then I hope to see you fall quarter, joining clubs, participating in all the ways that you feel comfortable with, and getting involved. To me, I have a personal a story here in that when I got involved as a resident advisor, that's where I met my closest friends, even my residents, my students that lived in the hall that I worked in. They are still very close friends of mine. And I also met my husband, my partner. He was an RA at the time. We have 2 kids now. So all to say, I cannot guarantee that you will find your love, forever love on campus, but it is possible. And that to be said, regarding belonging and mattering and finding your tribe, finding your community on campus. It's hard to do when you just go to class and go home and study. You should do that. Please do get good grades, the best grades you can. But as much as you can, use the time you have at UCI to connect with other individuals, to build those relationships that might last for the rest of your life. So I'm going to be here the rest of this time and happy to answer questions in the chat if they pertain to the work that I do in student affairs. But for now, I'm going to turn it back to Lauren. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Sherwin. I love hearing your story. And you're completely right. Please study, please do all those things, but also have fun, create memories. That's what it's all about. So thank you so much. And we appreciate having you on this morning. And so I'm happy to introduce our next panelist, Mr. Brian Ju, also an alum. Brian Ju is the Senior Director of Marketing and Outreach for undergraduate admissions at UCI. He's a proud Anteater alumnus and has been at the university since 1997. He began his professional career at UCI serving as the campus representative coordinator, overseeing the tour program and its students. He currently oversees the outreach and recruitment efforts of the office while trying to keep everyone sane, as you can imagine. Brian holds a BA in criminology, law, and society from UCI, and an MA in theology from Biola University. Brian can often be found wandering around Disneyland with his family or sitting in traffic going to Dodger games. Welcome, Brian.
Well, thank you so much, Lauren, and thank you everyone for joining us today. It's a pleasure to meet you, and in a lot of ways, my role, we've actually been communicating since the moment you applied to UCI. As Lauren was saying, I'm the Senior Director for Marketing and Outreach. And we are the first contact with you when you're even remotely considering applying to UC Irvine. And this past year was an incredible year for admissions. And you can see all the numbers right here, but UCI received 134,000 applications. That was almost a 50% increase in the applications in the last 6 years. And from there, we admitted almost 30% of our students. So you can imagine from that 134,000, almost 100,000 people being unfortunately not getting admissions to UCI. So it was a very, very selective year. And I just want to congratulate all of you, parents and students, for getting to this point. We are a very competitive campus these days, and to be offered a spot at a university like UCI is amazing. So you are deserving of it. We review every single application. We look at all the circumstances with it. And so you are definitely not here by mistake. You are truly an Anteater, and we feel like we're excited to welcome you to the Anteater family. And very similar to the stories, I am a proud Anteater alum. I loved my experience at UCI. I got involved. I cannot echo enough of what Sherwin was talking about just getting involved on campus. I met my spouse. I have 2 kids. It sounds really, really similar stories. And that's just kind of what happens, is because you are able to go to a wonderful, prestigious university, but also have that sense to form a community, and it's all there for you. You just have to take advantage of that. The other part of my job is all of the communication efforts that are happening. So I know this is a really challenging time. There's a lot of information coming through. From the moment you applied, you probably got spammed literally by me. In a lot of ways, I pushed the button to get all of that information regarding your admissions decision. And then afterwards, when you choose to come to one of our events, if you're looking at UCI, to the minute you SIR, and you're getting all of that onboarding. So this is kind of our way of being able to hand you off to the rest of the university. We're kind of the first people to welcome you here when we admit you, and we get you onboarded as a student and enrolled. If you've done everything, you've submitted all your transcripts, you've gotten all your paperwork into us, then our job is essentially done. And I can really just kind of sit back and relax and watch you enjoy your experience at UCI. So from here on out, though, this is really our handoff moment to say, welcome to the campus. And you're in really, really good hands. I cannot emphasize enough just the wonderful people from Wendy and the Alumni Center, who I've known for a long time, to Lauren and Parent Engagement, to Sherwin here, and then even Michelle, seeing her as our student body president last year, navigate a really crazy time on campus. All of these resources are here, and it's a little bit of what makes UCI special is because I think the people here are all committed to ensuring that your student is going to be successful and have the tools ready to enter into the world in whatever career field or decisions they want to do, or even finding themselves as a person. So we're here to answer questions. We're here to help give you resources. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Brian. Thank you so much. That was very helpful. And I never realized how similar your story does sound to Sherwin. So hearing it back to back, it definitely has some similarities. So thank you so much. And now I'm proud to introduce Ashish Mehra. He's our two-time Anteater parent and co-chair of our parent executive board with his wonderful wife. And Ashish is a product leader and entrepreneur with 25 plus years of leadership experience in business, product management and innovation, software engineering, and customer success. Most recently, he served as the head of products at Drishti Technologies, which is an AI-powered computer vision startup that enhances human performance in the manufacturing industry. Ashish has previously held senior leadership positions at venture-funded startups and public companies. At NetApp, he played key leadership roles in product management and engineering to deliver many innovations that helped Fortune 500 enterprise customers succeed. Prior to NetApp, Ashish was head of product and engineering at Velocity, building application integrated data management products. And before that, as co-founder and CEO of iScale, he created intelligent core-to-edge data distribution products. He has also served as a program CEO of Startup Leadership Program. This is a global volunteer-run nonprofit which trains entrepreneurs from ideation to investor readiness. This is a hands-on advisor to several startups and currently serves as co-chair of the UCI Parent Executive Board, as I had mentioned. Ashish holds a master's and PhD in computer science and engineering from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and Bachelor of Technology in Electrical Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology in Kanpur, India. So please help me welcome Ashish Mehra.
All right, thanks, Lauren, for that wonderful introduction, and welcome all of you. Really, it's a pleasure to have you join the UCI family, both for the parents and your students. Some of you, it'll be probably the first child, and for some of you, maybe the second or subsequent child. As Lauren mentioned, we are from India. My wife couldn't join us today. She's a doctor, and she's busy with dealing with other patients and other demands, as you know. We are from India, and we are immigrants, and I came to the US many years ago, and obviously have benefited greatly from being part of the education system here, and then subsequently as a professional. One of the things I feel is really important for us as parents, and I'm obviously on your side with all the parents, is to really understand how great institutions make a very important impact in the lives of your children. For us, having UCI as a college has been really awesome. As mentioned, my son, we first became sort of college-going parents, if you will, back in 2017 when my son first started. And I think Sherwin mentioned this really well, and I echo that, which is we were struggling with, we wanted to make sure that our son was able to attend a college which was far away, but close enough. And that's really important as you transition from being parents with kids at home towards the journey to being empty nesters. It's really important to be able to give that distance. They need that space to grow. And obviously parents need to give that space for them to grow. And so it's been really wonderful having that opportunity at UCI. We love that it's just a few hours away by flight or by road. We love the fact that they can come home if they wanted to on any given weekend. both me and my wife, we obviously are from the Bay Area, and so this may not apply for all the parents, but I can tell you that it's not the distance alone that matters. It's the emotional connect that matters. And from that perspective, I think UCI has been really awesome, and the entire team with the parents engagement team as well as the broader team at UCI, we have felt connected. And I'll share a bit more about how we have done that. But really, to be included and to feel closer is almost like a family away from home, more like an extended family. So really, that's the ethos I wanted to emphasize for you. And while the first time was really nerve-wracking for us when our son went, second time it has been a lot easier. Of course, it's been a very challenging year and a half for all of us. And I must say, and I must acknowledge and give kudos to the UCI team for really managing the best they could in the circumstances by providing proactive help, by being there to answer questions and helping as the best as they can, whether it's the housing situation or just open questions around the uncertainty of it all, health concerns. Being remote is not easy for these students and for parents. To be able to give that support and to be able to execute through like they've done, again, this is really well done. And the journey is not yet over, right? We still have those struggles ahead of us, but it's a very good foundation that we can count on. And so we felt really comfortable as parents. And then after, I think, the first year of our son joining, we wanted to give back. We love the notion of giving back. As you can tell from my own background, I'm a big believer in education, big believer in human potential, and big believer in giving back. If you combine those three things, it was very clear that we needed to do more and wanted to do more as parents. So that led us to joining the PEB, which is the Parent Executive Board that was mentioned earlier. And within a year or so of joining, we had the opportunity and the privilege to be able to become co-chairs of the board. And it's truly been a big learning and insightful experience. Being on the PEB means you're working with 20 plus other families and other parents. And it's a great learning. We have really learned a lot from their perspectives, from the issues that those parents bring. And to be able to have that platform to interact with UCI leaders, with different department heads or department chairs and deans and so on, including the vice chancellor and the chancellor, it's really been eye-opening and understanding both sides of the table, if you will, and to be able to be heard. I think it's really a big mark of the positivity and the proactiveness that the UCI team brings. So we have dealt with firsthand knowledge of the student issues. One of the key things that the PEP does is to give these based on our contributions to support the Anteater grant initiatives. And these are funding given to student issues on campus. So over the last 3 years, 4 years, we have really had the opportunity to help change and impact positively, maybe more than 10 or 15 such projects, if you will. So that's really been very helpful and given a new dimension to our engagement and involvement with UCI. And in that process, we have seen firsthand the interactions with the UCI leadership. And when I say that, I mean not just the core parent engagement team, I mean, as I said, the broad cross-section of UCI leaders. We have found them to be very inclusive. We have found them to be supporting diversity of thought, of action, of intent. And they listen. They listen to the issues that we as parents feel, and then they help and do the best they can within the confines and constraints of the circumstances. And so I've always found them to be wanting to do better, to excel. There's a reason why UCI is really those numbers that we talked about earlier. They have really changed. Those numbers have gone up over the last 4 years. And I think we expect those numbers to keep climbing. But more than numbers, it's the intent, it's the care and the concern that matters. And I've seen that firsthand. And I can say that you are in good hands for that reason alone. And so we'll come back and talk more about all of this, but to be able to conduct and maintain the connection virtually as we are doing now, and to be able to build upon that, my hope is, and our prayer is, that the pandemic will pass and we'll be able to revert back to in-person interactions and so on. But I think until that happens, or even beyond that, this has been a great journey. I invite you to join and do more. And what you will find, as what we have found, is that as was said earlier, once you're part of the family, it is really something that keeps extending and grows beyond that, including for your child and for yourself as well. So with that, back to you, Lauren.
Thank you, Ashish. That was very well put. And I agree. Let's get through this and can't wait to see everyone. Okay, last but not least, we have Michelle Milari joining us. Thank you, Michelle. So Michelle is a new UCI alumna, having just graduated with the class of 2021 this past June. Michelle graduated magna cum laude in business administration, summa cum laude in political science, and as a member of the Phi Beta Kappa and Beta Gamma Sigma honor societies. At UCI, Michelle interned in student life and leadership, coordinated the administrative intern program, volunteered as a SPOP summer orientation staffer, and served as the business senator and president in ASUCI student government. This summer, Michelle has been exploring new trails and coffee shops in her hometown of Santa Clara with her friends and family. And this September, Michelle will be starting as a full-time audit associate at Grant Thornton. So as I mentioned earlier, Michelle has been relaxing. She's been able to relax, which is so exciting. And now she's going to be starting a full-time job. So Michelle, take it away.
Thank you, Lauren, and thank you for having me here today. Yes, my summer has been very relaxing. So I can talk a little more about what my time as a student was like. Since I just recently graduated, everything still feels relatively fresh. So I started my time at UCI in 2017, and I was a little nervous since it was a new environment. Wasn't really sure where I should start. Wasn't sure how to find myself, make myself feel like I was at home. Since I was so far away from home, I'm also a first generation student, so I wasn't sure how to navigate everything correctly. What I have learned is that there isn't necessarily a correct way to go through college because everyone's experience is different. Everyone's strengths in college are different, and where we all come from is different. And I think that's an amazing part of being at UCI. So for me, I eventually, once I got to UCI, I learned to branch out, socialize more, talk to more people, and meeting people that were extremely supportive of who I was and wanted to see me grow and that I could also support. That motivated me to keep on giving back to UCI in the long run. So I knew I wanted to contribute to building a community within UCI. And so my first major involvement was interning in student life and leadership during my second year. I actually interned with Sherwin. So Sherwin was my first mentor at UCI. And as I became more familiar with UCI and all of its students, I wanted to welcome students into UCI as well as an orientation staffer. I helped coordinate a program to mentor student interns. And then I eventually ran for student government during my third year. And then during my fourth year, I ran again, but for president. I thought that by the time I reached my third year, I felt very connected to multiple aspects of the community. And I wanted to recognize that there were areas that we could continue to support students because there's always something to improve, I think. And there's always ways that students can feel more comfortable and more like themselves. So I wanted to be a part of that. So this past year as president and as a student, as a person was not easy, of course, but what I appreciated most about being at UCI, even in a remote environment, was that I could tell that students in both UCI and even across the entire UC system, we were all trying to support each other and try to advocate for each other, whether it had anything to do with COVID guidelines, how to better support students in a remote learning environment, and how to maintain our own health. So I'm very grateful that even though this past year was basically also in my bedroom at home, I still felt connected to the rest of the students, even if we were many miles apart. So this past June, I finally got to travel back to UCI and graduate. I got to walk the stage with some of my closest friends, and it was lovely to see them all and to be around people that shaped who I was at UCI and shaped my experience. So I know there will certainly be some unique challenges this coming year, but I'm confident that UCI will have a place for you. And like I said, every student's experience is different. So I encourage you or your student to find the people that will support you, seek out those opportunities that interest you, and don't be afraid to ask questions, because it's okay not to know everything all at once, but things will slowly but surely begin to make sense, and then your time at UCI will be one worth remembering and having. So thank you again for having me here, and I'll turn it back to Lauren.
Thank you, Michelle. And I'm so glad you were able to come back to campus and walk with your friends and really close your UCI chapter the right way. So I'm glad that was able to happen. So now we'll be moving on to our Q&A portion of the event. And our Q&A has already been quite active, so that's great. And you guys are doing it properly with the upvoting. That just helps us scroll less and see what you guys really want to hear and what you need answered. So I would love if our panelists could join and just pick out some questions you see that you would like to answer. I know I see that 48 questions have already been answered through the Q&A, which is wonderful. So everyone can just click. There should be a button that says open and then answered. And if you click answered, you'll be able to see the questions, and then all of the answers to those questions as well. And let me see, I did want to just briefly read. So unfortunately, our housing representative couldn't join us today, but we did have her on 2 of the other welcome receptions. So I'm happy to share those recordings with you in the thank you email as well. But she did share with me a couple of the frequently asked questions with answers. So just really quickly, I want to read these off to you guys. I know there's a lot of housing questions, which is completely understandable. And so, move-in is scheduled to be September 16th through the 19th. And students should be receiving an email the first week of September with their exact move-in details, schedule, all of that. I know different residence halls have different move-in dates, so they're not all starting on the 16th, but there is a schedule on the housing website. And so we'll put that in the chat too. So housing.uci.edu, and the website is very informative. They even have a page dedicated to what to bring to UCI. So I know refrigerator questions are quite common. So it does say, I answered it in the Q&A, but you can bring your own refrigerator. It just has to be, I think, less than 4.3 cubic feet. And just check it out so you can see all the details to make sure you're bringing the right things. And I know a lot of students have been waitlisted, which is unfortunate, and housing truly was trying to work through this and make as much space open as possible. I know they converted certain study rooms into dorms, and they really tried to maximize space to get as many students on campus as possible. But unfortunately, the demand was too high. So some students had to be referred out to the Anteater network, American Campus Communities, and then local apartments and areas. So we do apologize for that. And so let me just see, she has a lot of things on here. So students should be receiving their dorm assignments the first week of September. And students should have received an email saying whether or not they're on the wait list or if they did secure housing. And she said that email is the #1 way they communicate with students. So please have your students check their email regularly, and really to stay on top of the housing deadlines, tuition, all the deadlines. Everything will go to their UCI email. And then parents are allowed to help move students into the dorms. They didn't put a cap on how many people can come, but definitely mask up, wear your mask, social distant, stay socially distant, and just don't bring too many people. But the email should have date and time and all of that information included. I think that is the majority of the questions, and we'll check out the Q&A.
Hey,
Yes.
I wanted to just highlight a couple of questions that can be addressed. So there are a couple that are related, maybe there are more, but the fact that with increasing cases of corona going on, will the fall quarter be in person or virtual? That's one question. And the second one is that if there is a lockdown, then would students who live on campus, will they need to would they need to return home or somehow stay on campus if the families are living out of state? So if we maybe address those two.
Sure, thank you. So I wonder if the panelists can speak to this more. I do remember in our last welcome reception, it was mentioned that UCI staff and leaders are following all of the guidelines, county and chancellor, UC guide, all the guidelines to keep everyone safe. And so as of right now, they are still planning to move forward with fall instruction in person, and they will be offering online classes per usual. They have always offered online classes. So I think some people get concerned when they say, my student has online classes, is this due to COVID? It's not. It's students have always been offered online classes. So I think it's just like a coincidence. But let's see. Yeah, Brian, do you have anything to add to the fall instruction question?
Yeah, sure. Right now, we have I am part of the our student vaccine committee, and so I get a weekly update on things. And obviously, cases are rising. The good news is that our students are getting. Majority of our students are getting in compliance with our vaccine policy. So we are trending in definitely the right direction. Our campus goal is hopefully to get to 90%. And we're a good number. We're not that far away from that. So that's kind of a good sign going forward with campus. It is obviously always an evolving situation. So the campus does have protocols that if you do get exposed to COVID or a positive test, there's contact tracing. There's actually a COVID response team that will take over and actually guide the student through all the available steps. There's also housing available. So if they're on housing, they will be asked to be quarantined into a separate area. So we've done a little bit of this during the past year when we did have students live on campus. The good news is that we know how to go virtually if we have to. But right now, as far as I know, most of the campus plans are still to anticipate students being back on campus in a couple of weeks. So we're hoping for the best, but obviously ensuring that you're all safe and well if stuff were to happen to start to escalate. But we will continue to keep you in communication on all channels if anything does change at this point.
Thank you, Brian. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Lauren, if I could just add, I was furiously typing away in the chat trying to answer some of these questions. We have a UCI Forward website that has lots and lots of information about how we're managing the COVID-19 with regard to vaccines and testing and all of that. So I put it in the Q&A, but maybe if Kevin can drop it into the chat, the link in the chat, that would be helpful. There's also questions about parking and parking permits. You can purchase permits from the parking website. And again, was something I put in the chat there. Maybe I'll just drop them in after I'm done talking here. Housing is in their own world right now and trying to get our roommate assignments together. So you will hear from them in the coming weeks so that you know where your student will be placed, who their roommate will be, and they can start connecting with each other there. But we are taking some precautions with regard to indoor spaces, which means within housing and anywhere indoor, even in my own office, if I am not alone in my office, I will need to put my face covering on, right? Same goes for anyone in indoor spaces across campus. So we will do, like Brian mentioned, contact tracing, and we have isolation spaces. But for just regular activity, we don't have a physical distancing directive any longer because it's not aligned with the CDC guidelines. But as needed, there will be courses that some faculty are like, can I keep doing some sections online, virtually? But they are also being asked to have classes in person with the mask mandate in place. And so all that to say, we are taking as many of the best precautions as possible so that we can provide an atmosphere where students feel safe and comfortable, and faculty and staff. Health and Safety Department has ordered tons and tons of cleaning supplies with face coverings and face shields that they've made available to all the departments that need them and haven't ordered their own. And we have them for our guests who come in. We will have a face covering or face shield available to them. If they walk into a building without one, we will ask them to wear one. So there were lots of questions about that. And thank you, Kevin, for dropping all those links in. I know it's a lot.
Thank you. And then we have a safety question. So I'm not sure who would be best to answer this. But so father of an incoming Vietnamese American freshman from out of state, they're speaking to the increase in Asian hate crime victims. So they would like to know statistics in the UCI area and what efforts have been made for protection and safety. I do know that UCI is actually a very safe place. The city of Irvine itself is very safe too. We have our own UCI police department who has been very aware of these hate crimes, and I believe UCI has been just like nothing has been happening surrounding this. Can any of you speak to that at all? Let's see.
Can you all hear me? I think I was logged out and I came back in. So I'll just share, our Office of Inclusive Excellence has been focused on this piece for a while. We do have a large population of Asian and Asian American students, faculty, and staff on our campus. So this is something that we are definitely paying attention to and ensuring that it is a topic of conversation. We are also an ANAPISI school, ANAPISI designated school, which is an Asian American Pacific Islander Native American designation. I know it's a long acronym, but all to say that we recognize that this is a huge population on campus and that we will move forward to bring this conversation at the forefront and ensure that we're proactive in our programming and our safety measures on campus. We work closely with our UCI Police Department to report cases if there are any. To be honest, I haven't heard of any over the past year, maybe because we are remote and it's a little bit different, but it is something that we will pay very close attention to as we get back to campus in the fall.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I know that is a great question. Safety is top concern. So thank you, Sherwin, for answering that. And then I see our most upvoted question right now is that someone's student signed up for a duplex room. Now they're being told UCI will put 4 people in the room. Is this safe? I don't think UCI would be allowed to do something that wasn't safe in regards to housing. I know there are very strict guidelines for space and all of those things. Brian or anyone, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, the quad room. So I'm not part of housing, but and Sherwin and I did not live in the really nice new towers that were built just the last 2 years. But I have toured the rooms, and the quad rooms are actually designed already for quad students. It's actually not just a single room. It's a large room and then it has kind of a hallway and it goes into like a bathroom suite. So it's not like you're thinking of a small room with like 4 bunk beds and it's all crammed in like that. So all the rooms that are approved as a quad is already designed for that. If it's a converted room, it's usually like a study room, which are already bigger in the first place. And so it already can handle the number of people per, I think, square footage space. So each of the rooms will come with a bed, a desk, and typically some sort of like furniture like a closet or a cabinet where they can store their clothes. So it's plenty of space even within there for the 4 people. So we're not converting any types of things that were approved for doubles, and we're making 4 beds on that. That's as much as I know. So housing has been very diligent working with the county and public health officials to ensure what is allowable for the number of students per the size of each room on that. And that's why there are limited spaces, is because we don't have the flexibility of increasing that. In years past, we could have taken normally a double room that's been approved as double and converted to a triple, and thus have been able to meet a lot more demand. Unfortunately, with current health guidelines, that is something we're trying to avoid, is to take smaller space and convert them and put more people in there. But again, I'm not part of housing. A lot of housing's decision-making has been tough this year in regards to trying to find as many beds as they can. And they're still trying to do that. There's still a lot of movement with students who have signed on for housing, who have indicated they wanted housing, sometimes are changing their minds or decisions now that the ZOD bill's coming out and we're getting closer to school. So if you're on the waiting list, just continue to wait and hopefully something opens up. And if not, housing does have an Anteater housing network where people can post available rooms in the city, and people can post roommate information if they're looking for places. But that's pretty much where they're at this point. And I know that's a big, I've seen all the housing questions, and I know it's definitely a situation they're trying at best to handle. Also, one big hint that I wanted to let you know is that if you do call them, please have your student available, because they're not going to answer specific student contract questions without the student's consent. So if you're the parent and saying, I'm calling on behalf of my student, they're not going to give many details of it until they actually speak to the student directly and have them understand that there's consent to have both of you in the conversation. And just for privacy sakes for that. And that's why. So if you're calling as a parent and they're just giving you general information, it's because they can't discuss any specific student contracts or assignments with you directly.
Thank you, Brian. For not working in housing, you sure know your stuff. Thank you. And then I would like to ask Michelle a question, and then Ashish, if you want to select one more question, we'll move on to our closing. But Michelle, someone has asked a great question. What are the biggest challenges or most common challenges freshmen may face in their first quarter?
That's a good question. I think going to UCI, it's a very large campus, both physically and also there are so many different departments that I think it can be easy to be overwhelmed at first. You might have noticed already getting a lot of emails, so that's like the first step into how large UCI is. So I definitely felt that way. I think a lot of people their first year aren't really sure where to start. So I guess what I would recommend is first feel comfortable enough with yourself, feel like you can support yourself, you're feeding yourself, you're sleeping well, all of that. And then once you have that core set up, that's when it's a good time to look for opportunities that might interest you. And knowing either what you're interested in or at least what direction you want to go in, there is almost certainly either a club or a department that caters to that interest. So a lot of navigating first year and even onwards is just looking for the information because it's most likely there. You just have to go and seek it out. So hopefully that helps.
Great, thank you. And Ashish, did you see any other final questions you'd like?
Yeah, I want to go back to housing since that's the dominant concern. I know we don't have all the answers, but I think the one question is, there is a wait list. And if you're told you're on the wait list, but you don't know exactly where you're on the wait list, can any visibility be provided, either the ranking or the likelihood? And nobody knows by when they would know yes or no. So if they have to look at alternate options and make commitments, is putting some of those parents in a big bind because they really don't know whether they should act on it. Should they give up or not? And so any clarity that can be provided, maybe not on this call, but any follow-up on where exactly they are. And the second part of the question I saw one parent asked is, if the student is not able to secure housing at all, is it okay for them to be virtual, at least for this semester or the next semester and so on?
Yeah, great questions. First, I'll touch on the second part just because it's a quicker answer. So Connie had mentioned, or our housing representative had mentioned in one of our previous events, that if students are able to create a fully remote schedule with online classes, then that's totally fine. They can, stay remote as long as they need to. So I hope that answers that. And then, yeah, I completely understand that parents and students are stressed about housing, and the uncertainty is probably the hardest part about it. I would suggest, I know housing is, they are also unable to sort of determine likelihood of people, moving off the wait list because they're waiting for people to either accept or decline offers still. So I would suggest having their student call housing directly to try to get more information. I'm wondering if after they send out the housing email the first week of September, if there will be more clarity then. I know that is cutting it close to school starting. That's the best as I can answer right now. I can definitely reach out to housing to try to get a follow-up answer to share with everyone post this event, because I know clarity is definitely needed in this area.
And there was another side question, which was the previous sessions we have had. Can the recordings for those be made, at least a recording or some kind of takeaways, be made available from those sessions to all the parents here?
Yeah, I actually just answered one of those in the Q&A. I'd be happy to share links to those recordings in the thank you email that you'll be getting next week. And the thank you email will also include all of these links that we've been posting in the chat. So it'll be just basically like a follow-up email with links. There'll be a link to our Google Drive, which will have this PowerPoint slide, a calendar of important dates with contact information, and then as well as recordings too. So just keep an eye out for that next week. And we wait until next week so that we can download the recording. We can get a final list of registrations because we don't want to miss anyone. So keep an eye out for that next week. So thank you, panelists, for all of your input and answers on this. Thank you, Ashish, for selecting those great questions. And then just to be cognizant of our time, we're going to hop into our final words of wisdom. So I know we just did Q&A, but if our panelists want to hop on and give just some quick little final words or advice to our families and students. Wendy, would you like to start?
Sure. Thank you, Lauren. And this has been a really informative session. I hope you all are enjoying that. And please send us any more questions you may have. My last words of wisdom that I want to pass on to students is don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't sit in the back of your classroom or behind a screen and not engage with your professors. Please make sure you engage with those professors and engage with other people on campus. Your experience on campus is going to be so much richer if you make those connections there. And then of course, I just have to plug once again what I had said before, the Anteater network. Please join and connect there, and don't be hesitant to connect with an alum that's in a field that you may be interested in. You don't know, you're just exploring. Having those rich discussions with alumni can be really rewarding in helping you define where you want to go next. So parents also encourage your your students to join the Anteater network. So thank you all. You are going to have a fabulous, fabulous experience at UCI. I'm so excited you're a part of the Anteater family. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Sherwin, would you like to share?
Sure thing. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you so much, Yadira. I know you're working it over there on the back end. I want to say, you know, this is all of for all of us. It's our first pandemic, right? We have never experienced this ever, and I hope to never again. We tried really hard to, we always use the word pivot. Pivot's our middle name now. Every time we get new guidance, we try to figure out how to make it, how to implement it and make it a better experience for our students, whether virtually or in person. And as we get back to campus, I hope that all the lessons that we've learned, that you've learned, that we all come together and figure out how to make this the most healthy and safe community for all of us to enjoy these years at UC Irvine. And so I want to give you all some grace that we're just learning together, right? Give us some grace that we are learning together. And so much has changed in the past year, and we're not forgetting that, right? We're not just blinking and coming back to campus and expecting that everything is normal, right? There is going to be a new normal. We are learning together, and I hope you all, along with us, help us to make this the best experience we can for our students, for our families, for the staff on campus. And so thank you all for your patience. Trust that we are doing everything as safely as possible so that you can feel comfortable on our campus, and to be honest, so that we can feel comfortable coming back to work on the campus, right? So we're in this together. We're all in different boats, but we are riding the wave and the journey together. And so thank you all so much for being here today. And thank you also for trusting that we are doing our best to make sure that our experience is a healthy and happy one together.
Thank you, Sherwin. That was very well put. And then we'll go Brian, Ashish, and then Michelle.
Well, just to be brief again, thank you so much for coming on. And, you know, being here 20 plus years at UCI, I think the one thing I can say is that I appreciate how all the staff and faculty and administrators are very much student oriented. And when you're dealing with student affairs or the Alumni Association, or even our office, in enrollment management, we're trying the best, as Sherwin said, to make informed, educated decisions and not just jump into things, and try to make sure that our student experience is going to be the focal point. So we're here to help you, even if you're asking the office that's not available or that's not there. We can try to get you to the right place. We may not have all the answers directly, but we're going to try to get you to the place where they do have the answers. And just bear with us. It is definitely as classes get started in the next month, it's going to be very busy. So patience and grace, like Sherwin was saying, is the best. But know that we're not trying to ignore you. We're just trying to inform everyone and make sure that everyone has the right information and get to the right spot. So enjoy the experience. I would also say let your students really kind of explore and find things out on their own. I know as parents, it's really easy to try to give them all the information. Say, hey, you need to think about this, and this, and this. It's all out there, and a part of it is also the discovery of trying to let them get a sense of that independence and navigating things for themselves. So thanks again.
All right, so maybe I'll add my my 2 cents, if you will, parting words of wisdom. What I would say is, first of all, you can count on UCI staff and leadership. They are trying their best. There are a lot of uncertainties and a lot of changing situations day by day, but you can count on them to do the right thing and look out for you as best as they can. So that's the first thing I would say. The second is, I would really encourage you, all the parents, to give back. You can join the PEB, you can give back in many other ways, but giving back is something that really makes you feel closer and gets you more engaged with the overall UCI system. So that's the second thing. And of course, there's a lot of joy in doing that as well. And finally, I would say is that, this is not just the beginning of the journey of college for your child, but your relationship with UCI. And so become part of the community. I would strongly encourage you and invite you to become part of the community, become part of that community of caring parents, and together we can help UCI grow and excel on this journey together. So that would be my sort of parting words. And again, things will settle down. Let's hope for the best as we approach the final weeks of, before the school year starts. Thanks again.
Great. And I guess my last words is that you're not alone on the college journey. There are many others that are also looking for help on how to navigate college. And there are also a lot of people who want to share what they've learned. So it's okay. And I encourage it to ask questions. And it's fine to not know everything at once. And as some other people have said, even if one person doesn't know something, they are bound to know someone else that will know. So adjusting to college and getting the information that you need, baby steps are okay. It will all come slowly but surely. As for finding your community, I definitely encourage finding either a couple of people, a lot of people, whatever you're comfortable with, that will support your growth and support your happiness and your health. And my last words is really think about what you want to accomplish at UCI, because 4 years might seem like a long time, but looking back, it feels still somewhat short. I think success for each student is really relative, and it's always changing. For example, my first year, I was worried about if I would make friends and if I was paying my bills on time. And by my fourth year, it was, will I be able to learn okay in my living room? So a lot of things will change in 4 years, and so will you and your knowledge. Like I said earlier, there's no perfect formula to how to spend your 4 years. So it's okay to check in with yourself every once in a while and make those changes if you're headed somewhere you don't like. And if you are happy in the direction you're going, then just keep moving forward. I can say that I found my time at UCI very worthwhile, so hopefully you can all say the same in a few years. Thank you again for coming, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you, that was very well said, and I appreciate all of our panelists. Just some quick housekeeping before we go. We will have a town hall meeting event during Anteater Family Weekend. This will be sort of an open forum with housing, student health center, different hot topic areas. So please join us and save the date for Anteater Family Weekend, December 10th and 11th. And then I will be launching our Anteater Parent Ambassador revamp probably at the end of September. And so people who have signed up will receive emails at that time, noting the differences and mentioning what they can look forward to. And there still is time to register and sign up to be a parent volunteer. So please do visit our website for more information. And then as Wendy mentioned, backpack cooler winners will be announced next week via email. So check your email, stay tuned for next steps on how to get your, or when your cooler will be delivered to you. All right. And lastly, we will be sending you off with a Zot. And I would love for Wendy to just give us a brief overview of quickly who our mascot is and what the Zot even means. So Wendy.
Well, thank you. Yes, Peter the Anteater. It has been rated, believe it or not, as one of the top mascots by a couple different organizations, and we are unique and we embrace the Anteater because of that uniqueness. And something else that's kind of fun is that we have our own special little Zot signal that when you're walking down the street and you see someone wearing a UCI hat, you do this signal and you say Zot, and it's amazing, the huge smile that comes across their face, and they reply back with the same signal. So you are now being entered into this special club of knowing how to Zot. And so as you can see on the screen there, open your hand, and then with my screen, it's kind of hard to see, but open your hand, and then you take your two middle fingers and place them on top of your thumb. And you can see you've got the ears up here. And then the trick though, you know you're a professional zotter when you pull your thumb all the way back to allow for the snout. So you can see there's a snout here, because if you're here, you're kind of like one of those longhorn people, or, you know, look something else. So we are unique. We are the anteaters. Pull it all the way back. So we are going to join together and do a zot. Lauren, are you going to lead that together?
Yeah, we can all say it. You can kick it off and we'll all count down.
All right, on the count of 3, I want everyone to do a yell out and say your zot on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, zot. All right, and then I should say we do 3 zots, as you can see with that last thing. So it's actually 3 zots together. So on the count of 3, let's try it again, and we're going to do 3 zots. 1, 2, 3, zot.
Zot, zot, zot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and welcome to the Anteater family. Here is our contact information slide, and you will be receiving a very detailed email from us next week with more links and all of that. So with that, I just want to thank you for joining us, and I hope you take care. Thank you, panelists.
Bye now.
Bye.